easily one of the hypest season of recent history. Having legendary anime like Monogatari series returning, while also introducing a massive amount of promising titles to steal your time. At its surface, it seems like a lot of the more promising titles are rom-coms, but there's still a comfortable mix of different genres to fit your taste. And damn, do a lot of them look so visually good. You can expect anything from Cyberpunk's Lucy, starring as Harley Quinn, and Suicide Squad Isekai. I voided my wife's manufacturer warranty in bed. 2 OP protagonists that don't know they're OP. This sister protects her sister's virginity from a deer. This sister wants to take her brother's virginity. It's okay. It's cosplay Ponsu. It doesn't count. That's right, Aqua. Offerata is back, and it actually managed to look worse. Smug Russian waifu. Smug sister waifu. Smug childhood friend waifu. Gah, they're all beautiful. Yoko Taro is back for more Nier, and it's tragic as selling magical girl lewds on eBay. In another world with my divorce proceedings. How to train your lolly. This boy made millions of otaku question their sexuality. Don't with this girl's cake. Thick fantasy lewds. Waver bullies a talentless protagonist. Breaking child labor laws in another world. Mass-producing best girl. Cat girls with debuffs. This VTuber company has way too many sexual harassment violations. Cheating on your girlfriend because she's not a Trekkie. My replacement leg is a lolly. My teacher caught me in 4K. But for every season, you don't need to sit through all 60 anime titles to figure out what's good or not. I've gone through it all, and I'm here to give you my top 10 new anime of the season so far, as well as my favorite continuing series that you should get caught up on. So let's dive into it, starting with my top 10 new anime titles. Now this is very difficult. This is a very difficult 10 list to make. And that's because yes, there's a lot of promising titles that I can see falling off very, very quickly. Such is the case of my number 10, which is How to Become Ordinary. This show looks so freaking good. The director, the studio, the team working on it, visually this show is top notch. I love its style, I love its character design, I love the attention to detail that it has. It's about 2 students, Kabuto and Osanai, who are trying to become normal, and they promise to support each other in order to do this. What sort of unfolds for the first few episodes is that the 2 of them are kind of getting wrapped up in different mysteries. And yes, they're very mundane mysteries. We're talking about a purse is missing that doesn't have anything valuable in it. How to make cocoa with 3 cups. Some really stupid and mundane things. While at the same time, sprinkling this idea of the 2 of them changing themselves. Even having a best friend questioning Kobato, why are you so different? What has actually happened to you? Now, the reason why it has my attention so much is I really love the chemistry between Kobato and Osanai, and I love the mystery about what they're actually changing. It seems that Kobato's thing that he wants to become ordinary from is being a know-it-all. This is a guy that whenever there's a mystery or there's something that somebody doesn't know what's going on, he's the first person to figure it out. And this has apparently led him to some trouble. And the question mark is the build-up for Osanai's whole thing that she's trying to leave behind. And I think that's where it's going to either make or break this show for me, is the reveal on what exactly she's trying to become ordinary from. My current prediction is that she had violent tendencies when she was younger, and it seems like that violent tendency is coming back. And whether or not they really deliver on that, or start to get into better mysteries, is going to make or break this show for me. But so far, despite the mundane moments that this is kind of capturing, it has promise, and I really hope that it delivers on that promise. But unfortunately, because I haven't been completely sold that they're going to deliver, that's why it's at number 10 for me. Moving on to my number 9, we have 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. I've been really enjoying this show so far. Now, yes, let's just call it what it is. It's My Dress Up Darling Walmart brand. It's the thirstier My Dress Up Darling. It's the Dress Up Darling's doing really well. Let's make this story. But all that aside, it is still an enjoyable show in itself. And I really like it more because it's really taken it in a different direction with cosplay. And yes, the etchier aspects that come from it. You have a main character who was bullied at some point, so thus he doesn't like 3D girls, and so he just wants to focus on 2D girls, specifically his waifu Lilio. And then you have randomly out of nowhere, some beautiful girl shows up that wants to cosplay as said character. Very, very convenient. And yes, conveniently, he has a childhood friend who's a model that wants to cosplay for him as well. It's all a recipe for just ecchi, goofy shenanigans, and it's definitely not afraid of what it is. And now, yes, unfortunately, it is afraid of showing too much because, who knows, because of the broadcast block, or maybe they wanted to change things on how the tone is. But yes, it is very unfortunate how much ecchi has been kind of removed from the source material to the adaptation. But still, there's plenty here. I enjoy the shenanigans, I love the characters, I love the comedy, I love the chemistry they have so far. I will admit the main character is loud at times, but it's got enough here. It's got some character development moments, enough to have me excited for 2 cores. Moving on to my number 8, let's get into some wholesome. Let's get into some wholesome lolly with ATRI My Dear Moments. The moment I seen the visual novel for this series pop up, I was in love with the character designs of the main character, ATRI. And so when this was getting an adaptation and by Troika, I was super excited for it. And while I won't say that the first episodes have completely blown me away about this series so far, I have been thoroughly enjoying it. ATRI herself is a manufactured sunshine. It takes place in a world where the water levels are rising and civilization is not doing well. And we follow Natsuki, who eventually gets a lead on some treasures down in some laboratory, which he ends up finding ATRI, a robot, brings her to the surface, claims that he's going to sell her, but then over time it seems like the two of them are forming a bond. There's a lot in the story about futures and the past and being stuck in one place, and really kind of discovering the idea of a possible future. And like I said before, ATRI is just too adorable. I love her shenanigans. I love the chemistry between her and the main character, just constantly him calling her scraps and her claiming that there's anti-discrimination laws for robots, all this kind of stuff. And yes, like typical with these visual novels, I'm just waiting for it to just rip my heart out and stomp on it 5 times. Next up we have is my number 7, which is also visually really, really good. And that is The Elusive Samurai. My gosh, this show looks so freaking good. The animation is absolutely top notch. Cloverworks just going absolutely berserk. And yes, it was one of the series that I was looking forward to the most coming into this season. Now, I had a lot of reservation with the show as well because the creator of it was the creator of Assassination Classroom, which I enjoyed Assassination Classroom, but I wasn't sold on it. Like, I wasn't a big fan, and that was mainly around the idea that I just didn't really care for their comedy. And yes, that's unfortunately present with this show as well. The comedy is very jarring for me. But outside of that, I really, really love this show. I think it's got a really solid setup. It's very Rurouni Kenshin-esque, and I was really not expecting that. It's the idea of this entire clan being betrayed, and the son of the clan being rescued by this priest. And the whole idea here is that this prince that was rescued is really good at hiding, very good at evading, and being, yes, elusive. The plan that this priest has for this prince is they'll play a game of tag, gather allies, lure out their enemy, use his elusiveness to pretty much take them down. All for the hope that one day he'll reclaim the glory of his clan. Like I said before, visually this show is just fantastic. The animation is absolutely fantastic. Now, why it's down at 7, despite the fact that there's all these positive around it, is that yes, I can see this show could possibly get a little bit formulaic, but additionally, yes, the comedy itself doesn't work for me. And it does seem like the comedy is very much a focus. Even still, I'm looking forward to more of it, and I'm really hoping that it kind of exceeds my expectations. For my number 6, I have Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. This show was an absolute treat for me. I was not expecting this to be, of the 3 shows that PA Works was working on this season, this was the one that was going to stand out to me. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this show is just, it's really charming. I love the style of it. Visually, it is by far the best of the 3 offerings of PA Works this season. The animation's fantastic, the character designs are very unique, and it's all a surprise because it's based off of a video game. But so far, thankfully, the fact that it's from a video game has not hurt the story itself. It's essentially about this goddess Sakuna who's been pretty much living off the rice that her mother left behind, being ordered to go to this island where her mother cultivated that rice and met her husband, where she pretty much learns more about her family, as well as a lot of things like responsibility and, yes, camaraderie, because she's stuck with a band of useless humans. And the 5 of them are pretty much being pushed to have to work together in order to survive. It's got wholesomeness, it's got charm, it's got visuals, it's got style, and yes, kind of learning a little bit about rice at the same time. I can't wait for more, and hopefully it's a full adaptation at this point. Moving on to my number 5, and yes, another pleasant surprise for me, is No Longer Allowed in Another World. The isekai take on Dazai, the author that, unfortunately, Japanese writers cannot let die. That's kind of ironic. It follows Osamu Dazai as he is doing a double in themselves with his beloved Sachan, when unfortunately the isekai truck shows up. Literally, in this story, there is a truck that its sole purpose is to find depressed people and run into them to isekai them to a fantasy world where they get a second shot with OP abilities. But unfortunately, yes, they isekai'd the wrong person because Dazai does not want to live. And so he's just going out into the world just trying to find somewhere where he can croak. Eventually, he kind of realized that Sachan might be in that world, so he's trying to find her, but he ends up getting a band of different individuals kind of following with him as he travels about the world. And yes, despite the fact that other worlders are supposed to go to defeat the Demon Lord, he's just not going that direction. He's just focused on finding Sachan. And yes, as each encounter that he runs into, this is a guy that literally says, okay, if you're a bad guy and you don't like otherworlders, go ahead and end me. And then some shenanigans will happen, and ultimately, in the end, he survives. It's been a pleasant surprise for me. Honestly, this type of humor doesn't typically work for me. But I think a lot of my enjoyment's in the Konosuba style of like the group of the misfits, the group of the useless individuals all coming together to fight something, and they're not really particularly OP in any way. The shenanigans I get into, the demeanor of Dazai himself, which is voiced by the guy that does Araragi, and I love his laugh, it just turned into a really fun show that I'm enjoying, which is really surprising because I wasn't really a big fan of the creator's previous work, Love After World Domination. For my number 4, I have The Magical Girl and the Evil Lieutenant Used to Be Arch Nemesis. Yes, a short in my top 10 list, which is an absolute shocker for me. I can't remember the last time I had a short in my top 10 list so far. But I love this show so much. It was one of those shows that when I fired it up, I'm like, holy crap, this show looks really, really good. Why does this show look so good? Oh, Studio Bones is working on it. The concept here is that the evil lieutenant, Mira, is being sent to take down the magical girl. Well, very quickly, upon first sight, he falls head over heels in love with the magical girl herself. But there's one major problem with Byakuya. She's being exploited by the angel that made her a magical girl. The angel has her working day and night with different odd jobs just to make a bunch of money that goes straight into his pocket. So Mira is in this conflict where he really cares about Byakuya, he's in love with Byakuya, but at the same time, he has his responsibility for the evil organization to take down Byakuya. At the same time, he's just heartbroken over the fact that Byakuya is always tired and literally going to die of exhaustion. The show has a mixture of multiple things here. One, again, like I said earlier, Bones, the presentation visually, this show is just too damn good looking. At the same time, it has so many great punchlines to it, like the whole situation with him sending out a massive slime. He checks out his monitor and then he finds out that Byakuya is stuck inside the slime being licked and stuff like that. And so he immediately destroys his own slime to protect her. And then you have this sprinkle of like tragedy in the idea that this Byakuya girl is just, again, being exploited by this angel, and this angel is a dirtbag. Now granted, that's par for the course for a lot of these Kyobei type characters. But it's like I'm laughing at how dark this angel is, but at the same time, I'm rooting for this evil lieutenant to just go take the thing out. I'm loving it so far. Lots of laughs, visually fantastic, and I just cannot wait for more. Moving on to my number 3, we have Wincest. Yes, Days with My Stepsister. I am very shocked about how much I'm enjoying this show. Even though I will admit that this is not going to be a show for a lot of people. It follows a guy named Yuta, whose father is now remarrying into a new family. And yes, with that comes a new sister who's pretty much his age. And what follows this is this stepbrother and the stepsister kind of getting closer and closer together. There's a lot of emphasis here on what they've gone through before with their previous parents, and the emphasis on how much distrust they have for other people despite the fact they're trying to be warm and welcoming of each other. Saki has a lot of issues with her trying to prove herself to other people that just because she's beautiful doesn't mean that she wants to solve everything with her body. At the same time, it seems like Yuta has a lot of problems with trusting other women because of some issues in the past with his mother. Why I said this show might not be for everybody is because, yes, I can see a lot of this show being boring for people. Whereas I feel like a lot of it makes it feel grounded and realistic. These characters don't act anime. They don't get into goofy shenanigans all the time. Their conversations aren't to punchlines. It's two kids with some sort of trauma slowly growing comfortable with each other. And a lot of the shots seem purposeful for setting the mood of the characters, like having a very long scene where the two of them are eating in silence. But I think it's those steps they're taking with the story so far that has me kind of immersed and intrigued on where they'll take the characters next. Moving on to number 2, I have Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines. This show is so freaking fantastic from beginning to end. I literally thought it was going to dethrone number 1, and it got really close. Yes, first and foremost, this show looks absolutely fantastic. The director and the team working on this project is doing a phenomenal job of this. Every single shot where you have some sort of dramas happening, or you have a comedy beat happening, a punchline, the expressiveness of the characters just sells every single scene. The concept of the show is pretty much what happens to all those poor girls that don't win the main character of any other rom-com series. They end up with our main character, Kazuhiko. Our first girl, Anna, was pushing her childhood friend to go after the one that he loves. And thus, she's heartbroken and also complaining all the time to our main character about how she hates seeing the two of them together. We have Lemon, who is like the track star. The childhood friend that she loves thought that she was too good for him, so he found somebody else. And thus, her waiting too long, she lost him. We have Chika, who's in love with the club president, and it seems like he's in love with his childhood friend. It's just a bunch of girls that have romance problems, and they're all kind of divulging that to our main character, despite the fact that he doesn't want to get involved with any of it. Additionally, we have a teacher who's bugging each room to listen to the romance between the students. And we have a sister for our main character who's just desperately hoping that he finds friends and hopefully romance. It just has a really fantastic cast of characters, really fantastic chemistry, great writing, great comedy, great punchlines, and again, it just looks really good. It even has a sprinkle of ecchi, which I was really surprised about, where he gets stuck in a storage room and has to spray this girl to keep her from having a heat stroke, and the entire time she moans inappropriately. Cannot wait for more of it. Absolutely fantastic. Too Many Losing Heroines. And that finally gets us down to my number 1 show of the summer 2024 anime season so far. And that's easily, without a doubt, Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. This show is phenomenal. Yes, a lot of that has to do with having a cast of the most waifu material waifus ever. It follows our main character, Kuze, who has a girl that sits right next to him in class, who seems like she really, really hates him because he's a slacker and she's a hard worker. But every now and then, Alya will actually speak her true feelings, yes, in Russian. Now, unbeknownst to her, Kuze actually knows Russian, and so he knows everything she's saying, but he's a little bit too afraid to tell her that he knows what she's saying. So every single time he'll say like, what'd you say? And she'll say, oh, no, I said that you're really annoying. Through those Russian words, yes, it's obvious that Alya does like him, just she doesn't want to admit it. Call it a Russian tsundere. And this even gets worse as later on you have Alya's doing things in order to tease him, and most of the time he'll kind of accept it, and it just completely throws her off. Like, having him put on a stocking for her, and then him actually doing it, and her getting completely flustered. We're also joined by other characters like Kuze's sister, Yuki, who is equally as mischievous. At school, she's working for the student council, and she's very refined and very beautiful, but when at home, yes, she's a dork otaku. And yes, she loves to tease Alya, insinuating a lot of the time that her and Kuze are going out. And then we have Masha, who is Alya's sister, who seemingly is the childhood friend of Kuze, which he learned Russian in order to communicate to. All the characters are absolutely fantastic. They're absolutely beautifully portrayed. Dogo Kobo is doing an incredible job with the animation, the expressiveness of the character. I love their mischievous faces so much. And while yes, it is presenting a sort of rom-com trope with the idea of which one is a childhood friend, I think it's doing it in a way that's not as distracting as you typically get. A lot of the focus seems to be in the in and now, and yes, slowly sprinkling a lot of the trauma that the characters has gone through in the past. The character writing, the chemistry, everything is just top-notch, and it just has me every single week eagerly awaiting the next episode. And that is it. That is my top 10 new anime of the summer 2024 season. For my honorable mentions, I'll say Wistoria. I'm really enjoying that show. It looks really, really incredible, but I will admit that I am kind of a little bit tired right now of the OP main character that's trying to prove themselves even though they're really OP. Dahlia and Bloom's really, really good. I think I need a couple more episodes to really be sure exactly where this show's going to go into. So far, it's been pretty introductory. Bye Bye Earth is also very introductory. Looking forward to seeing where that goes forward from here. Music's fantastic, by the way. I Parry Everything has been decent. Like, I'm very pleasantly surprised by it, but that's also another one of those I'm super OP, but don't know that I'm super OP shows. And finally, Quality Assurance, I'm very, very mixed on. It's a VR MMO, trapped in a VR MMO, doing bug testing, and it feels off a little bit, but I do love the style of it. For continuing series, yes, I am absolutely loving the return of Monogatari series with Off and Monster Season. Shaft is back, the team is back, Monogatari series is back and better than ever. And yes, focusing in on some of my favorite characters like Nadeko and Yotsuki. This series just continues to excel on some of the greatest character writing, greatest dialogue exchanges, greatest chemistry, and yes, this really cool little sprinkle of supernatural that just always has me intrigued. Obviously, yes, the return of Oshinoko, I absolutely love this series, and I'm grateful to see it back. Now, I will admit that it hasn't been as great as the first season so far, but that still doesn't mean that it's not an incredible series and that I'm just looking forward to every single week. Dead Dead Demons, Dead Dead Destructions is absolutely fantastic. Yes, it technically is a new show, but it kind of fell in the previous season. But it's one of those shows that when I start watching it, I just can't stop watching it. It is so well done. I find the world itself very intriguing. I kind of quote it as a sci-fi slice of life. Like, there's this massive alien invasion happening and kids are just trying to live. The art style is very unique. I think the characters themselves are very quirky, and I just can't wait for more. Spice and Wolf is still continuing to be a fantastic series, and I'm so happy that they're actually covering a lot of the skipped content they didn't do in the first season, which gives me hope that they're actually going to do a full adaptation this time. It just looks good. I love the chemistry as always. It's just a series that I can't get enough of. Nier Automata, yes, I'm loving that show so far. It got super dark this season, and I cannot wait for more. I haven't started Sengoku Yoku yet, but I'm looking forward to the second season of that. That time I got reincarnated as slime. Well, I can't say this is my favorite season. I am still enjoying that as well. And I'm still looking to get caught up on Yatakarasu and Yozakura Family. Those two shows I'm kind of behind on, but I'm still enjoying them a lot. And that is it. That is the most promising top favorite shows of the summer 2024 anime season so far. I can list millions more, but I'm going to stop there. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Hopefully you guys find something in this list that you guys want to check out. That's my whole purpose of doing all this watching, is to find things, let you guys know about it, and hopefully it's something that you do enjoy. But as always, I welcome you guys to go down in the comments down below and let me know what your most favorite shows are of the season so far. What is working out for you? What is not working out for you? Love to hear from you guys. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciated by the sports channel. Until next time, y'all take care.